Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 60-second tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we're going to start where we left off in the last tutorial. So if you guys remember, in the last tutorial we discussed the MySQL underscore fetch underscore ASOC function, and we obtained output that looked like this. So we had all our field names from the table listed on the left hand side and all the values from the table listed on the right hand side, and at the top you can see information for John followed by information for Alex. And in this script we're not going to learn any new function, but we're just going to see how we can improve the way this output looks. So there are a couple of things that you can do with this. Firstly, you would want to list your field names in camel case, and what I mean by that is you would want to display the first alphabet in the field name in uppercase and the second alphabet in lowercase. So for instance, N from name, you would want to display this as capital N, G from gender, capital G, E from email, capital E, so on and so forth. And you would want to do the same for Alex, not just for John but for Alex too. And another thing that you can do is perhaps display the age of the student instead of displaying his or her date of birth. So right now we have 1987 January 25th. If people want to calculate the age of John, they would have to subtract 1987 from 2014, and this is okay. But if you can do that for them, then they would be even more pleased. So that's what your job as a programmer should be. I mean, just making things that people appreciate more and more. So I've got a script file here, and I've named it improved underscore fetch, and it's really quite simple. There are very few changes that I've made to this file, and if you understood the last script, then this is really going to be a piece of cake. So the first change that I made is to the SQL query that we executed in the last script. So if you remember, in the last script the SQL query was really simple. Select star, we were pulling out all information from the table name, which was student underscore info, and we are pulling out all the information in this script too. We're pulling out ID, name and gender and email, but instead of pulling out age the way it was, we are going to pull out the difference of the current date and the value that was stored in the DOB field. So date diff is a function that we are going to use for this, and this is an SQL function. This is not a PHP function, by the way, and that's why I'm putting all of this in the SQL variable, because this is going to be executed by MySQL. Right, so date diff, and then within parentheses you have to pass to it two arguments. The first one has to be the date from which you have to subtract the second date. Right, so now is the function that's going to return to us the current date, and DOB is the field name which holds the date of birth values. So this is the field that holds all those values, 25th January, or 25th January 1987, I think that's what it was. So we're going to get the difference of these two dates in days, and if you want to find out how many years they turn out to be, you have to divide that value by 365. So you first get the difference in number of days, divide that by 365, which is the number of days in a year, and you get your age, and we want to display this as age, right? Secondly, I am not having all my SQL code on one line here. So in the last script we had a very small SQL query, so we had it on one line, but in this case if I would have put all of this on one line, then it would have actually drifted too much towards the right, and it would have just been difficult to follow. So that's why I have it split on multiple lines, and this is actually a cool idea. This is something that a lot of people do. So I have part of it on this line, and then I'm using the concatenation and assignment operator. So this is going to be added to this, and this will be added to this, and this will be added to this. So you should read this SQL query as select ID and name and date diff, now DOB, which is going to return the difference of dates in days, divided by 365. It's going to give you the age in years, and then gender and email from the name of the table, which is student underscore info, right? The next thing is, the next step is to execute this query. So for that we need two variables, the connection variable and the SQL variable. The SQL variable, we've just got that here, and the connection variable is the same as we've been using in all the tutorials. So the parameters are the same. Host name is localhost, user is admin, password is student pass, and DB name is student. And then I have an if statement that's going to check whether this query was executed successfully or not. And if it was executed successfully, then this would negate and we would get the while block. And if it was executed successfully, then if it wasn't executed successfully, I'm sorry, then we would get inside the if statement and execute the die function, which I have here on line number 25, and we would just display the message query failed, right? And inside the while block, this part is the same. So we have the fetch underscore assoc function here, and as I said in the last tutorial, this is going to return associative arrays to us, which will be passed to the variable row, and in one iteration we'll get one record from the result set and pass it to row. And then inside the while block I have a for each loop here, and this loop we're using because it's the best loop to use with associative arrays. Key and val are placeholders, as I explained in the previous tutorial, and we're going to do something here. So not for all the fields, but for the age field, we wouldn't want to display the age as 29.787546,542 years, because we would want to round off the age, or round up or round down, whatever suits you. I'm just going to remove all the decimal places, and for that I'm using a PHP function round. So since we want to do this just with the age field, I have an if statement here which is going to return a true value only when the key, which is the placeholder for the field names, is going to have the value age, right? So when key gets the value age, we're going to round off the value that's associated with the key, and the way we do that is by using the round function. So within parentheses you pass to it the value that you have to round off and the number of digits that you want after the decimal point. So I don't want to see any digit after the decimal point, that's why I'm going to put 0 here. And another thing that I would want to do for all the fields, not just for the age field, because if I would have put this echo statement inside the curly braces here, then this effect would have been reflected only on the age field, because we would get inside the if block only when the key gets the age value. But we want to do this for all fields. That is, we want to display the first alphabet of all field names in uppercase. So that's why I'm using the UC first function here. So to see the values, we're using the echo statement followed by the UC first function, and we want this function to work only on the keys and not on the values, right? So John and Alex can still be printed in lowercase. That's all right, but we want the field names to be displayed in uppercase. So that's why $key is passed to this function as an argument, and then we are just displaying the value. So UC first is not used here, but it is used here, and then rest of the code is the same. We have a couple of break tags here in the horizontal rule, and this is going to result into pretty much the same effect. And then we are freeing the memory, and then finally we are closing the connection. As you can see here on line number 44, I have the MySQL underscore close function. So all looks good. Let's see how this script executes. So what's the name of this file? I've forgotten actually. It's improved underscore fetch. So I'm just going, or maybe let me open another tab. So localhost / improved underscore fetch.php, and this is how it looks. So immediately you can see that it's way better. Instead of having a date value here in the DOB field, we have the age listed, 28 and 28, and then all the field names are changed. So over here we had ID and name listed in lowercase, and we have I capital here, N capital here. So this just looks prettier. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys had fun, and we're still not done with the PHP, and there are lots of more interesting topics that I would want to discuss with you guys. So you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm going to see you in the next tutorial. Till then, take care.